I'm Chuck Holbrook. I'm very excited about this opportunity today. I'm sitting next to a man who could be described as a modern-day warrior, Eric Deters. The righteous battles you've fought and are still fighting, it really is mind-blowing. I'm grateful to be here, and since the mainstream media won't interview you, thank you for sitting down with me today. My first question, let's get this out of the gate, is can you tell us what bothers you most?
Wow, that's a big, broad question, but what bothers me the most probably is what the media does. What the media does to everybody, what the media does to me. I mean, Chuck, when I think about what I do on a daily basis, which is fighting the man, the American Communist tent, fighting back against power, fighting against the corruption, the legal system and everything else. And despite all that I've done in the past, it's wild how I get treated and how the little guy gets treated, just used and abused every day. For example, wasn't allowed the stage at Fancy Farm when I ran for governor, messed up. Northern Kentucky Tribune, who claims to be the serious journalistic entity here in Northern Kentucky, who's sponsored by St. E's, never wrote one single article about me when I ran for governor, except to criticize me for bashing St. Elizabeth Medical Center. Let me say some more of this. Mike Dardis, Channel 5 News. I said, Mike, how come you didn't cover the release of the butcher of Pakistan? He says, well, you're running for governor. I said, oh, you mean like J.D. Vance running for United States Senate, hillbilly Aligi? I mean, it goes on and on and on. I'm blackballed from 700 WLW. So it's really bizarre. So what bothers me the most is how they try to marginalize me. They use the words like toxic, controversial, and everything else. But you look below the surface, what am I controversial about? Calling it the way it is. And I love it. Just so you know, Chuck, I love what I do, and I have the lane all to myself.
What do you think they're so afraid of?
Well, what they're afraid of is anybody, and you know what? This is as old as the hills. I mean, you can go back to Greece, Rome, Europe, Martin Luther. Martin Luther wanted to reform the Catholic Church. Why? They were selling tickets to heaven called indulgences. So Martin Luther was blackballed by the Catholic Church. So who am I? Think about this, Chuck. The largest employers in the tri-state, in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area, are the hospitals. We know that these hospitals allowed Durrani to perform unnecessary surgeries, including on kids, for money. Who speaks out about that? Me. Cincinnati Children's Hospital, the #1 hospital for children in the country. But they let that happen. St. Elizabeth Medical Center. They got a corrupt billing system. Who speaks out about it? Me. So what happens is, in this community, and it's sad because this goes on. Here's a great example. They did it to Tucker Carlson, Chuck. Tucker Carlson got castrated by Fox News. Tucker Carlson. He's much bigger than I am.
Very relatable.
But you see, that's what. So they fear anybody who rocks their boat, challenges them, does not accept their bullshit. For example, Chuck, I led the battle against the vax around here, fighting for the healthcare nurses and everything else.
That's right.
That's not the way to go. You're not supposed to. You can't make this up. Judy Claves, who was the editor of the Kentucky Post before running the nonprofit St. E sponsored Northern Kentucky Tribune, sent me an email and said, I don't think a serious candidate for governor should be attacking St. Elizabeth Medical Center. You see? So that's what it is.
Eric, can you tell us, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud that I not only talk the talk, I walk the walk. Because you see, that's a great commercial that Stephen Jobs did for Apple. Yep. Who changes the world?
Yep.
When you do what I do, and you can look back in history, anybody else that did what I do, you pay the price. Whistleblowers pay the price. Those FBI whistleblowers came forward. They said, they've been threatened. their career's threatened. So you got to be brave. You got to be guts. What you got to do is you got to have this attitude of, I don't give a damn. And fortunately, because of my job, I can be independent. Nobody can fire me. Facebook can manipulate the numbers. I mean, like, for example, Facebook, Chuck, we were gaining on the Eric Deters, Kentucky in America page, 1,000 new followers a week. They turned that off. I haven't had any followers for months. You see, so you fight that and you pay the price. You get paid the price of being called an outlaw, which I love. I nickname myself a legal outlaw. I mean, I'm an unlicensed attorney who retired, who still is in the law game. It drives him crazy. But I love that my calling for life is to fight for the little guy. And I do it every single day to my financial detriment. Chuck, I went broke fighting for the Durrani victims. Then we settled with 2 hospitals, made a lot of money. All that money has now been put back in to the cause as that battle continues. Nobody does that. Nobody does that.
You just led into your vocation in life, and I was going to ask you, why do you do what you do?
It's kind of crazy, but I almost think it's a little bit genetic. I have Scotch-Irish blood in me, and on my mother's side, and I have German blood in me from my father's side. This is wild, Chuck. If you trace my grandma Deters' genealogy back, I have 4 relatives that came over the Mayflower. What were they? They're rebels.
Yeah.
You keep tracing that, it goes all the way back to the kings of Europe, okay. England and beyond. The first Viking king of Finland is my 58th great-grandfather. Charlemagne is my 35th great-grandfather. Charlemagne, first Holy Roman Emperor. But somewhere along the lines, we went from royalty to rebels who got on the Mayflower. The Scotch-Irish are rebels. They came over here and settled in the Appalachian Mountains. So I genuinely believe, from my Granny Crippen staple, who was a Suggins, that's white trash from Arkansas.
Harlan County, Kentucky.
Harlan County, Kentucky. What's Harlan County, Kentucky? Hillbillies, baby.
Rebels.
Fight the man, rebels, coal mining. Okay, so I really do believe I have this genetic tendency to just be a rebel and fight for people. If there's one thing that one of the things that I hate more than anything else, this is top of my list, is I hate that when there's people out there that do not know me and don't get me. See, because I was born at Deters, I was part of, I was Charlie Deters' son and part of the Deters in Northern Kentucky, which sat at the table. People perceive me, so many people perceive me as like I'm this rich kid, this rich guy. Nothing is further from the truth. And I love my followers. We call them Bulldog Nation, as you know. I love that my followers get it. And they know I fight for them and care for them. I hate when there's blue-collar workers, middle class and lower middle class people that don't like me because they think I'm something that I'm not. I love when those people embrace me and say, well, there's a champion for us.
If you would, tell us what you go through on a daily basis. Give us a day in the life of Eric Deters. Well,
let's use yesterday as an example.
Okay.
And into today. Yesterday morning, I got up early, 6:30, and it was a very busy day. I get to the office, I delegate. So I delegate to like 10 different people that I have to get work to. After I do that, I come in and do the show. Somewhere along the lines, I play 3 games of chess with him, usually waiting for Sabrina, who's always slow, putting together a show with Jamie Spinley. We were at Addicts for a while, Chuck, but now we only play 3 games, and he beat me 2 out of 3 yesterday. So I get in my 3 games of chess. Then at 11 o'clock, I had a meeting with somebody at Drake Law, big case. Big case. Then I took a nap. Then at 1 o'clock, I had a meeting with a Northern Kentucky businessman that I wanted to talk to about the butcher Pakistan. Then, this is a typical day. So then I go back to the office. I work. Then at 3 o'clock, I play tennis in the middle of the afternoon. Why? Because the only time the stay-at-home dad, Steve Cunningham, can play tennis. And I apologize to all of you. I did join 5 seasons country club so I could play tennis in the wintertime. So I played a game of tennis with him. Then I went to the airport and picked up Dr. Stephen Bloomfield, an expert in the Durrani case. Went to Waltz and had dinner with him. Took him to his hotel. Came back home. Took a nap for an hour. Got on a treadmill. Did 40 minutes on a treadmill, more exercise. Then got in my chair, read a chapter of Alexander Hamilton. And then from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock, worked. Drafting, writing, organizing, outlining these shows. Then got up this morning at 6:30 and began the day again.
Wow.
But
that's a lot.
Oh, by the way, in between that, constant text messages, constant emails, constant phone calls. You really helped me. You extend me by helping me make those phone calls. I was talking to Jamie about this yesterday, Chuck. As busy as I am, anybody on the face of the earth can text me, 859-250-2527, and they're going to get a response, unless I'm napping. They're going to get a response pretty immediate.
Yes.
And I do that too. No one else does that. No one else does that.
Tell us what your master plan is. What is the Bulldogs' master plan?
Well, here's the dream. I mean, this is a big dream. You know, they say go big or go home. You know, Donald Trump, I've read all Donald Trump's books. And Donald Trump always talked about that you ought to try to achieve big things because they cost as much as I can tell you right now, you know this, Chuck, a small case is the biggest pain in the ass is a big case.
That's right.
You might as well work on a big case. Here is my master plan and my dream. I want to continue working in the law, fighting these causes till the day I die. Both of my parents are 93 years old and in pretty good physical and mental health. I want you to know, Chuck, that I envision myself, knock on wood, random cancer, whatever, I can get it by truck. God can strike me down any day. I plan on living to be 100. So at 60 years old, while other people are planning retirement, I'm planning 40 years. And it begins with law. I want to continue to, as a legal consultant, working with Drake Law, work on these big cases, get Durrani resolved the next year, work and continue to work on all the other big cases. So there's law. I've decided to be a public servant. I am going to run for Congress as an independent against Thomas Massey. I plan, if I don't win, I'm going to run against Mitch McConnell, either as a Republican or as independent. I plan to run for governor again. My master plan is I would love to be governor and one day, who knows, president of the United States. Now, so there's law, there's politics, then there's media. I want this little media company continue to grow, continue to do news, continue to add reporters, and be a conservative voice, Chuck, for the tri-state and the country. Just keep building it. So my thing is fighting for people through media, law, and politics. By the way, funny story I just found out this morning, you can't make it up. I am officially on a government watch list for political, controversial, revolutionary persons. I am. If you do a background check on me, it comes up that I am on a government watch list. Badge of honor.
This is something.
So that's the master plan. If I can, the butcher Pakistan, I want that to be big. So my master plan, president, keep writing books, keep fighting people in law, and have a Fox media company.
Yeah. Relative to that, and this is something that's near and dear to my heart also, explain the special bond that you have with the victims of Dr. Durrani.
Probably get me emotional. That bond goes all the way back to the beginning, where I forget whose idea it was. It wasn't my idea. Maybe it was your idea. I don't know whose idea it was. There was an idea of meeting with the Durrani victims every month to update them, support groups so they could talk. So we started having those meetings every month, and we did it for years. We don't have them as much anymore because everybody understands where we are.
You would rent out the whole hotel.
Holiday Inn room.
Invite all 500
clients, 100 people would come. And
talk amongst themselves, get answers.
Talk about themselves, stand in front, cry together.
Amazing.
Say
you had food for them.
Had food, drinks for them every month.
That was something.
And you help me. We communicate to them. We shoot straight with them. We're honest with them. They know I bled, cried, bleed, put all my money into it. And from those monthly meetings, just formed a special bond of credibility where they knew I truly, truly gave a damn. And in response, it's a two-way street. They have been incredibly loyal to me. And it's hysterical, Chuck. Fighting the Bar Association. Just think about this, Chuck. I fight the bar. I get suspended. I retire. I get arrested on a not showing up for court on a traffic ticket. I get banned from the courtroom, banned from the courthouse. I get I get charged with my nephew incident. I mean, all the crap that goes on. All the Durrani victims say, who cares? Eric's our guy, man.
Nobody's jumped ship.
He's good. He's good. You see, so that's how special and loyal they've been to me. Yeah, I mean, they've been loyal to me through it all, and I have been loyal to them through it all, and there's nothing like it. It's emotional. It's emotional to me. I love them, and they love me, and I say this to them, Chuck, that I will be bankrupt and living in a barn before I ever give up for them, and they know it's real. By the way, and I hate to just keep running on this, but that is another thing that separates me from all these jackwagon lawyers and whatnot, is I'm like everybody else. I like to have some money, everybody likes to have a little bit of money, but that is not motivating me at all.
There's no quit in you.
I care about the cause more than anything else. And you know what? I'm smart, Chuck. I think people, if they're honest with themselves, you got to find a purpose in life, or you're a nihilist. You're Nietzsche. Life has no meaning. Jordan Peterson says, you got to find purpose in life. Mm-hmm. My purpose in life is fight for people. I'm smart enough to know that when you and I and everybody in this room, Sabrina, Jamie, Josh, we're all dead in the grave. What people talk about isn't what money they had or their house or anything else. It says your relationships and what did you do in life?
Yeah.
What did you do? My favorite movie is one of my favorite movies, Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
What will your role be? What will your role be? And my role is to fight for him. And I know that if I drop dead tomorrow, I'm going to be excited to hear all the people talk. That guy was different. He fought like hell for these people. He didn't care about money. You know how many lawyers told me I should take a haircut, settle the Durrani cases for whatever I can, and just get the hell out?
Oh, I bet.
I said no.
I'm sure you've probably visualized this, but how do you see this Durrani battle playing out? I mean, how do you see the grand finale of this thing? Here is.
I've shared this with them, and I believe it, and this is why I see it. There is a case going forward right now in Southern District Court in Ohio, and I'd like the public to understand this, because we're trying these Durrani cases day after day after day. There's a trial right now, and just to let everybody know, this costs me $2 million a year. $2 million a year. It takes a whole team to try these cases. We've got staff that helps prepare them. Alan Statman and Ben Moran are the lawyers in the courtroom actually trying them, but the entire staff helps put this together. We've now won, Chuck, $300 million in verdicts. $50 million of that is covered under the insurance policy. Medical Protective has offered no money to any of these individual clients.
So what about the other $250 million if the $50 million's collected?
Well, that'll come in what I'm talking about. So what we did is we have a case filed against Medical Protective, Durrani's insurance company, who's owned by Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett. And this case claims that the reason why they claim they didn't pay is because Durrani didn't cooperate. So under the insurance policy, they don't have to pay. Well, what we were able to prove and we're able to prove is that's all a lie. Durrani himself in his deposition in 2018 for Pakistan said, oh, I've always wanted to cooperate. So we filed a claim for fraud against Medical Protective. We survived the motion to dismiss. We have just filed a motion for summary judgment. And there's a discovery conference in front of Judge Barrett next week. And Judge Barrett told our team that he would set it for trial in spring if it was warranted. So in 2024, in spring, summer, next year, there's going to be a trial against Medical Protective for fraud. In my opinion, that verdict is going to be astronomical. When a jury hears what Medical Protective has done to these victims, it is like $1 billion type of case.
Do you see the jury in your mind?
Let me give you an example. There's $40 million in coverage left. We've got an expert who says that $40 million is really $67 million based upon them not paying it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Then you got all the emotional hell they've been through. You get up to like $100 million in compensatory damages. And they can award, a jury under a fraud claim can award punitive damages up to 10 times the compensatory damages. Chuck, if that case goes to trial, it's my belief there will be $1 billion verdict. And then what happens? It'll settle on appeal because then Medical Protective has to put up $1 billion bond.
Wow.
And then it'll get serious. You know how much Medical Protective makes in premiums a year?
How much?
$3 billion. You know how much money Warren Buffett gave away last year?
How much?
$4 billion. Yet Medical Protective has refused for 10 years to pay $40 million to over 400 victims of Durrani, $100,000 apiece. You know how much they spend trying the case? $100,000. So they are spending money on lawyers and experts, losing 80% of the trials rather than just give these victims that $40 million. It is the most evil, sick thing in the history of law.
Widening our lens a little bit, Eric. I mean, fast forward to late 2024 and looking forward from there. How do you see the state of the nation? Because I know you're very passionate about that.
Well, I, of course, support Trump. I cannot relate at all to Trump's personal life. His, he craves being a billionaire. He craves all that. That's not me, but I like Trump's policies. And Trump's connected to the average Jane and Joe in America. So I support Trump's policies. I recently changed to be independent. I fear for our country. I fear, like right now, we're at risk for a world war. We're at risk of complete economic collapse. The debt of this country is unbearable. Anybody will tell you there's no way we're going to pay that back without inflation. So I really fear for our country. It's scary. It's funny. So where we are, I hope Trump wins. It's going to be the last gasp of our country if he doesn't. These globalists want to make us something that we're not. I speak out on it every day, as you know, on the Eric Deters show. By the way, that's another thing. The reason why none of them like me around here. Just think about this, Chuck. Most Democrats and liberals should like a guy who fights for the little guy, right? They don't know how to handle a guy who fights for the little guy, but yet supports Trump. In other words, it's like, well, a lot of people hate me. The media hates me because of Trump. So I see our country in great peril, and I am immersed. You know, I love history, right? I am immersing myself, and I do this every once in a while, in a new study of history. I'm rereading Alexander Hamilton. And last night, Chuck, I read the chapter about how Hamilton created our economic system, set up the whole idea of debt. And Alexander Hamilton's debt plan for this country was that the debt is paid back. And debt enslaves, Chuck. Debt enslaves. We're now borrowing money to pay the interest on our debt. We are slaves now to that debt. So I fear for America. I fear. Now, I'm an optimist in the sense that the right people take this country. What we need people like me. We need more brave people that speak out, fight the cause, run for office, run for independent. For example, I can tell you right now, my own children didn't want me to run for governor. My daughters didn't. Parker didn't mind because they fear what might be said about me. And I'm like, well, see, that's what they scare you away. Bring it on. I can defend anything in my life.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to talk a little bit about this shift to independent. It seems to me that you don't want to go to war with Democrats or Republicans. You want to unite the country. You want to cater to people who love America. Am I right or wrong?
Well, yes. And let me just tell you my vision. I cannot stand the Republican establishment. Mitch McConnell, really. Chuck, Pfizer gave $1 million to the Kentucky Republican Party for their headquarters. That's not me. The Democrats are woke. I mean, Chuck Schumer, AOC, on and on. I can't stand it. Thomas Massey, he's been anti-Israel these days. He's a smart aleck, whatever. What we need in this country, and the reason why I changed to be independent is this. I found this out running for governor. I am never going to get the support of the Republican establishment. I don't want the support of the Democratic establishment. So I'm going to run as an independent. Trump considered running as an independent. It is very hard to win as an independent. However, we got to start somewhere. The Senate candidate who's an independent in Nebraska is leading now.
Nice.
Leading.
That's encouraging.
Now, by running as an independent against Thomas Massey, I mean, he's going to have the establishment. What I get to do is say, Trump Republicans, come my way. Independents, come my way. Conservative, good Kentucky Democrats who aren't woke, come my way. And I get to run all the way to November instead of lose to him. Claire Worth is a great lady. Got smashed by Massey. Todd McMurtry, good guy, Latin school classmate of mine, got smashed by Massey in a primary. You're not going to beat him in a primary unless you have the Trump endorsement. Donald Trump endorses wrong. He endorsed Daniel Cameron. Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Greene Taylors are buddies with Massey. They're in the Trump campaign. I don't think Trump will endorse me against Massey, so I'm running as an independent. I'm not burning the bridge with Trump. I'm still supporting Trump, but I'm going to do it my way. And not to mention, Chuck, I'm independent anyway.
That's right.
I'm an independent thing, so I can be true to myself.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of all of Kentuckians, thank you for doing what you do.
I appreciate
Really
Chuck.
appreciate
Thank you for being on my team. And we joked about this. You know, it's nice to be interviewed because you can't say things without being interviewed. So I appreciate you interviewing me for the company, and I hope everybody watches this.
Kentucky should be so lucky.
But well, Chuck, you know this. Can you imagine if Trump? This is a tragedy. If Trump would have endorsed me, I would be getting inaugurated December 11th as governor. I have no doubts about it. You know why?
I don't either.
I had rape, incest, life of the mother exceptions.
That's right.
That issue killed Cameron.
That's right.
I would have went into the hood of Covington, Louisville, Lexington. I would have gotten black votes away from Bashir.
Yeah.
So it's a tragedy. But here's the thing: we can't not. Knowing that what I would bring to Congress, the Senate, the state of Kentucky, we can't give up just because it's hard or we lose. I mean, it was my first race. So we'll see what happens. If the Butcher of Pakistan gets the national treatment that it gets, it is impossible. Don't you agree, Chuck? It's impossible to read the Butcher of Pakistan and not conclude like Sherry Potts, the Durrani client says, here is a good man.
No, it's Aaron Brockovich times 10.
Times 10.
Yeah.
Times 10. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Bulldog Nation.